Hi friends, welcome to Interactive Medicine. In this section, we are talking about the cardiovascular drugs and we are continuing our Croc 1 series. And first, I want to say we are not going to discuss about all the drugs related to cardiovascular system. In Croc 1, they ask a pattern. We pick up that pattern and we can find that they most of the times they ask about the digoxin and lidocaine and the nitroglycerin or organic nitrates. So we are focusing its mechanism, its uses, and the questions we are going through these questions. So let's get. So we are going to uh, just analyze what happened in cardiac failure. So this is our heart. Just consider this is our heart. So and we have four chamber heart. This is left atria, left ventricle, right atria, right ventricle. Okay, this is our lungs. From lungs we have pulmonary vein. It brings the oxygenated blood. From the left ventricle we have aorta. It pumps the blood to the body. And we have inferior and superior vena cava. And it brings the deoxygenated blood to the right atrium. So if heart muscle is not work properly, the blood can't pump into aorta and it can't reach into various body parts. So this condition is known as insufficiency. The heart muscle is not working properly. Insufficiency of heart or left ventricle or right ventricle. We have insufficient if muscle is not working properly, so cardiac output is very low. Which means the pumping blood is very less amount. So there is a chance for blood can be uh, lodged here and making clots. So these clots can be reached into various body parts. It's another condition. Okay, basically we can say heart muscle is not working properly and it leads to less amount of cardiac output. So our aim is to increase the cardiac output by increasing the contraction of heart muscle. Increase the force of contraction. Increase the force of contraction. Force of contraction means we have also another name, that is ionotropy. So we are discussing the drugs about favoring ionotropy. It includes cardiac glycosides, cardiac glycosides. Glycosides. And also there is some drugs which favor for inotropy, which are under non-glycosides, which are not under glycosides. Okay, and some drugs indirectly act indirectly act and promote inotropy. Promote inotropy. How this drugs becomes achieved this one? We know, uh, if from the lungs the blood is come into left atria, this is known as post load. By minimizing post load we can achieve uh, inotropy, because the heart didn't get too much overload. Also, the deoxygenated blood can enter into right atria. This term is known as preload. So these drugs can decrease the preload, so there is too much stress. There is no too much stress were happening in the heart, so heart muscle can work smoothly as compared to previously. So we are going to talk about these drugs which are favorable for inotropy by glycosides, non-glycosides, and indirect drugs which promote, which is favorable for increasing inotropy. And first we are going to talk about the glycoside. Basically, we know digoxin is a perfect example for this. I already said in my last class about the mechanism of digoxin. So anyway, we can discuss one more time, then it will help to retain in our mind. Okay, this is the smooth muscle of oh sorry, this is the heart muscle, and we have a special channel known as sodium potassium ATPase. We have another channel that is known as sodium calcium exchanger. Okay, and inside the smooth muscle what we can find, we have smooth endoplasmic reticulum. We have two gates here. Inside the small endoplasmic reticulum, we can see calcium 2 plus, where calcium 2 plus is stored in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So we have a receptor here, ryanodine receptor, and we have calcium 2 plus ATPase, and we have another channel. It's a L-type calcium channel, L-type calcium channel. So when a action potential occur, we know this is resting membrane potential, and just consider I am drawing when an action potential occur. First sodium will enter into cell, then what happen? Plateau phase. Plateau phase, the calcium comes into the cell, then potassium efflux will exude the calcium because calcium channel becomes closed, so potassium goes out promptly. It leads to repolarization and becomes finally attain the membrane potential. So we are talking about this phase now. Yeah, calcium is coming into the cell through L-type calcium channel because of the action potential. And what happens? This calcium can induce this ryanodine receptor, and the release of calcium 2 plus will occur. So this is known as calcium induced. This calcium can induce this receptor, and it causes calcium release. Calcium induced calcium release. Calcium induced calcium release. So we have sodium potassium ATPase. So potassium is coming into the cell, and potassium going out to the cell. Sorry, sodium, yes, sodium going out to the cell. So we have enough amount of concentration of sodium here, so this sodium can come into this cell, so excess calcium can goes out to the cell. This is the normal process. Okay, and what happens here when the toxin will come, it can bind this sodium potassium channel, so this channel become blocked. Okay, so there is no transfer of sodium and potassium takes place, so potassium is staying in outside, sodium staying inside. It leads to increased intracellular sodium concentration. So because of the absence of sodium outside, because of the sodium outside, calcium cannot goes out to the cell. So intracellular calcium concentration increases. So what is the function of calcium? Calcium can bind with troponin C, and it can leads to muscle contraction. Muscle contraction. So this is favoring the positive ionotropy. Positive ionotropy. If heart muscle is not working, so blood is not pumped to the aorta enough, so we can prescribe the digoxin, and muscle contraction will increase, also leads to increasing in cardiac output. Increasing cardiac output. Okay, this is what I want to say. This is the heart muscle. So this is discharge blocking, so there is no availability of potassium inside, and intracellular sodium is concentration going to be high because of the absence of sodium outside. Intracellular calcium 2 plus becomes very high, so it leads to increasing binding of troponin C, troponin C with calcium. It leads to positive ionotropy. So I want to say one thing: digoxin have another effect. It have positive ionotropy and negative chronotropy. Chronotropy. So what is mean by chronotropy? Chronotropy means rate, time. Sometimes we said chronological order, which means it's because of the time. Or chronic means it takes long time. Yeah. So it depends. It means that time. Chronic means time. So which rate at a per the beat per unit minute. That is rate. So decrease in heart rate. How it achieves the heart rate? So decocking how the effect that it can it can influence the vagus post. It can influence the vagus, so it leads to decreasing in AV contraction. It leads to decreasing in heart rate. Okay, decreasing have two effects. One is positive ionotropy, another is negative chronotropy. That is decreasing in heart rate and increasing force of contraction. Okay, so digoxin is prescribed orally, and onset of action 5 to 30 minutes. Corglycon is we administered intravenously. Onset of action is 3 to 5 minutes. And strophanthin we administer intravenously. Selenite, it acts quicker than digoxin and accumulates less. It administered orally, or we can use in intravenously too. So digoxin have positive ionotropy and negative chronotropy. Uh, we use digoxin in acute and chronic cardiac deficiency, cardiac insufficiency. Sorry, I made a spelling mistake here. So it's not deficiency, insufficiency. Insufficiency. Okay. It has narrow therapeutic index. Because of that, it has high potential to cause the toxicity. The antidote for digoxin toxicity, in modern treatment, we have used digoxin specific antibody fragments or digoxin immune fragments, and it adverse effects are arrhythmia and insomnia, color side changes, malaise, headache, anorexia, neuralgia, delirium, diarrhea, etc. So when we are discussing some questions, a man come into the admission room with the complaints of edemas, rapid heart rate, dyspnea, and cyanotic mucosal tunics. He was diagnosed with chronic heart failure. What drug should be prescribed to improve the patient's general state? So, nitroglycerin. What is the function of nitroglycerin? It is a vasodilator. So, patient is with a chronic heart failure. We need to increase the anotropy. So, cordiamine analeptic. It is a respiratory stimulant used for respiratory failure in shock. Mesatron, phenylephrine is the alpha-1 agonist used for nasal congestion. Adver- uh, Adverse effects: mydriasis, urine retention. Papaverine is a myotropic vasodilator. It is in the family of opium poppy. It is a smooth muscle relaxant used for increased oxygen myocardium, erectile dysfunction. Digoxin is the answer we use in chronic heart failure. So when treating a patient with a chronic heart failure, a doctor detected bradycardia, deterioration of the patient's general state. Such a condition is caused by cumulative effect of a drug, which drug is noted below as a cumulative action. Retinol acetate, vitamin A, isosorbate, angina pectoris, and isosorbate we use as isosorbate in angina pectoris and heart failure. Hydrochlorothiazide, it is a diuretic, thiazide diuretic. Diphenhydramine, it is a antihistamine, H1 blocker. Antihistamine H1 blocker, we used in allergy. So answer is digoxin. And a patient complains of rapid pulse, dyspnea, bluish color of mucosa has been admitted to the cardiological department. So objectives are edema of lower limbs, ascites. Given medicine should be prescribed for intravenous administration to improve patient's general state. Drotavirin is an antispasmodic drug. It is a smooth muscle relaxant. Digitoxin, it is a cardiac glycoside. Adrenaline hydrochloride. Cordiamine. Cordiamine is respiratory stimulant. So corglycon is the answer because it is also a cardiac glycoside. We prescribe intravenous administration because it's a serious dyspnea, bluish color, sinus local because it's a emergency situation. So the action of onset is only 3 to 5 minutes. In digitoxin, it takes 5 to 30 minutes onset of action. So we need to find the results immediately. So we administer through intravenous, that is corglycon. Detoxin we prescribe through orally. A patient suffering from chronic heart cardiac insufficiency was recommended to undergo a prophylactic course of treatment with a cardiologic drug. The group of cardiac glycoside that is to be taken enterally, which means per orally. What drug? Per orally we use digoxin, strophanthin intravenous, corglycon intravenous, cordiamine respiratory stimulant. Cordarone is also another name of amiodarone. It is a type 3 antiarrhythmic drug. It is a potassium channel blocker. Another example for potassium channel blocker is sotalol. A patient suffers from chronic left ventricular insufficiency. What medication should be administered? Paracetamol is a GABA analog. Vinpocetine is a neutrophil vasodilator effect. Then bemegrate, it is an antidote of mm, barbiturate. Barbiturate. Digoxin is the answer. Paracetamol is a derivative of GABA. In large doses, at repeated introduction, incapable strengthen the GABAergic inhibitory process membrane. A 65-year-old patient with chronic heart failure has been taking digoxin. Self-administered, don't take self-administered dosage for a long time. She was admitted to the hospital for general health aggravation, arrhythmia, nausea, reduced diuresis, insomnia. These are the side effects of digoxin. So stop the digoxin at that time. Cardiac gluconate is it increase coagulation. Increase coagulation. Don't do this. Don't do strophanthin. It's not effective. To reduce digoxin dosage is not effective. So positive inotropic drugs of non-glycoside structure. Inhibitors of phosphodiesterase 3. Example: amrinone, milrinone, vesnarinone. Beta-1 adrenomimetics, dopamine, dopamine and dobutamine. Okay, mechanism of action: inhibit the phosphodiesterase isoenzyme 3 in cardiac and smooth muscle. Increase the cyclic AMP. In the heart, increase myocardial contraction. In peripheral vasculature, dilation of both arteries and veins, decrease the afterload and preload. It is used for short-term therapy in acute congestive heart failure, not for chronic. Adverse effect: drug-induced thrombocytopenia. So this is a smooth muscle of the heart. Okay, sympathetic nerve produce norepinephrine, or we can prescribe sympathomimetics like dobutamine. Important. Dobutamine. Okay, dobutamine can act here and here. Sorry. Beta-1 and beta-2. Okay, like the same in norepinephrine. So what happened? This is GS protein. This is adenylyl cyclase. Adenylyl cyclase convert the ATP into cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP leads to contraction of cardiac muscle. So sympathomimetic can increase what? This contraction. Okay, we are talking about the phosphodiesterase. Phosphodiesterase 3 is the enzyme where cyclic AMP can be degraded into 5-AMP. So if you are able to inhibit this enzyme, cyclic AMP will not destruct it. So we are able to contract the cardiac muscle even more time and with more efficiently. So phosphodiesterase inhibitor. Example: amiodarone, amrinone. Amrinone, Milrinone, Vesnarinone. So dobutamine and dopamine, which is a sympathomimetic. So what happened? Cyclic AMP, cyclic AMP phosphorylation will happen. Phosphokinase A leads to increase calcium influx. Because of this channel phosphorylated by protein kinase A, calcium 2 plus helps in contraction. So phosphodiesterase 3 inhibition, amrinone. Positive inotropic and chronotropic. Cardiac glycoside, negative chronotropic, non cardiac glycoside, positive chronotropic. Increasing in arterial pressure. Indication: hypotension, shock status, and acute cardiac insufficiency, not for chronic. Ethimazole is a antithyroid antithyroid drug, inhibit the peroxidase enzyme, inhibit T3 and T4. A patient with cardiogenic shock, hypotension, asphyxia, and edema was given the injection of non-glycosidic cardiotonic. What drug was injected? Bemagrate, antidote for barbiturate. Cardiamine, cordiamine, analeptic. Caffeine, phosphodiesterase inhibitor. Dobutamine is the answer. Indirect inotropic drugs. ACE inhibitors, other indirect. So indirect inotropic drugs can ACE inhibitors. Oh shit. Indirect inotropic drugs. These can decrease the preload and afterload like non-glycosides, because non-glycosides have an affecting or affecting in perivascular blood vessels, so it can decrease the, or it can relax the blood vessels, so it can decrease the afterload and preload. Like the same, we have indirect inotropics, it can also decrease the afterload and preload, so there is it leads to the decreasing the stress of heart, and it leads to effective pumping. The ACE inhibitors, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, lisinopril, captopril, and enalapril. Diuretics, we have thiazide, for example hydrochlorothiazide, loop diuretic, furosemide, and carbonic anhydrase, acetazolamide, and potassium sparing, spironolactone, or triamterene. We have eplerenone, beta blockers, enalapril or propranolol, metoprolol, bisoprolol, and a alpha beta blocker, carvedilol. Angiotensin receptor blockers, losartan, telmisartan, then valsartan, then sarlasan. Calcium channel blockers, amlodipine, sometimes alpha blockers, prazosin, doxazosin. A 50-year-old man diagnosed with ischemic heart disease and a cardiosclerosis with a hypertensive syndrome. What drug should be prescribed in this case? Potassium chloride, not strophanthin. So they are ischemic heart disease, and cardiovascular with hypertensive syndrome. We need to prescribe the drug for hypertension along with uh, reduce the heart stress. So we need to prescribe a drug which can use for hypertension with reducing heart stress. Strophanthin is a cardiac glycoside only for only the acts on in heart, not for in blood vessel. So corglycon, cardiac glycoside, acetyl salicylic acid, aspirin. It works as anticoagulant, and also it's an example for NSAID. Metoprolol is a beta blocker. It is an indirect inotropic. So a 45-year-old woman suffers from arterial hypertension with a high blood concentration of angiotensin 2. What had antihypertensive drug most recommended in this given set? So antihypertensin 2 will constrict the blood vessel, and it have the effects that increasing in blood volume by acting in adrenal cortex and pituitary gland. So we need to we need to prescribe the drug which is inhibit the angiotensin converting enzyme. Example for that is lisinopril, captopril, enalapril. Verapamil is a calcium channel blocker, and reserpine is a plant extract, and metoprolol is a beta blocker. Prazosin is alpha blocker, alpha 1 blocker. So lisinopril is the answer. So 68-year-old patient consulted a cardiologist complaining of high arterial blood pressure, paining in the heart region, intermittent pulse, prescribed the beta adrenoreceptor blocker. Beta 1 adrenoreceptor blocker for the treatment of described pathology. Beta 1 blocker. So benzodiazepine inhibits the cell wall synthesis in microbes. Then neutropil, no. For morphine we can't use, these drugs we can't use. So metoprolol is the only option here. A patient has arterial hypertension. What long-acting calcium channel blocker should be prescribed? Calcium channel blocker, that is long-acting, amlodipine is the answer. A patient who had continuously taken drugs blocking the production of angiotensin 2 developed bradycardia and arrhythmia. A likely cause of this disorder is due to hyperkalemia. Why? A drug continuously taking the drug that is blocking the production of angiotensin 2. So angiotensinogen is converted into angiotensin 1. Angiotensinogen 1 is converted into angiotensinogen 2. So in normally angiotensin 2 have an effect in adrenal gland. It produce aldosterone. Aldosterone will reuptake sodium, water, and it cause potassium loss. Okay, so potassium loss. So if a drug which can block the production of angiotensin 2, aldosterone will not produce. So there is no reuptake of sodium and water, but decreasing in potassium loss. It will lead to high amount of potassium in blood, that is known as hyperkalemia. Okay. A 69-year-old patient with a collapse presentation delivered to the emergency hospital. A physician has chosen noradrenaline against hypertension. Okay, what is this mechanism of action? So, not activation of serotonin, no for beta adrenoreceptor, because hypertension, we need to understand the fact that blood vessel have uh, constriction. We need to constrict the blood vessel have smooth muscle, and smooth muscle have alpha 1 receptor, alpha 1 receptor. So it promotes contraction. Okay, noradrenaline is a alpha 1 agonist, so it promotes contraction, so it can use the against as a hypotension. So noradrenaline leads to activation of alpha 1 adrenoreceptor, because alpha 1 adrenoreceptor are present in the smooth muscle of vessels. It promotes the contraction. A 60-year-old male patient have a 9-year history of diabetes and insulin similar for the correction of hyperglycemia. 10 days ago began taking the anaprylin. It is a non-selective beta blocker for hypertension. 1 hour after administration of antihypertensive drug, the patient developed hypoglycemic coma. So what is the mechanism of hypoglycemic coma in case of anaprylin use? So what is the mechanism behind anaprylin in hypoglycemia? So I want to tell the fact that just consider this is my liver. Okay. Okay, suppose just think this is my liver. So beta, we have beta 2 receptor. Okay, and it promotes glycogenolysis in liver. Beta 2 receptor, and it can the neurotransmitter, the beta adrenomimetics can favor for glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis. And it can promote high amount of glucose. Oh, it's like Ukraine. High amount of glucose. Okay, then if we are using anaprylin like drugs, it is anaprylin or propranolol is a non-specific beta blocker, so it can also block the beta 2 receptor, so it can inhibit or decrease it glycogenolysis, so there is no glucose at all. There is no glucose at all. Okay, and what is the function of insulin? Insulin also promote hypoglycemia. Insulin also promote hypoglycemia. So both this effect leads to hypoglycemic coma. That is the mechanism. That is the inhibition of glycogenolysis. You need to understand the fact beta 2 receptor present in liver, and it is favorable for glycogenolysis. Okay, a patient with essential hypertension has high rate of blood draining. Okay, which antihypertensive drug should be preferred? Dichlorothiazide is a thiazide diuretic. Nifedipine is a calcium channel blocker. Prazosin is alpha 1 blocker. So propranolol is a non-specific beta blocker. Lisinopril is the antihypertensive. We can use this drug, lisinopril, and also it is renin. If someone is specific in the renin, then you can remember about renin angiotensin aldosterone system. So lisinopril is the enzyme which can inhibit the angiotensin converting enzyme. So we need to decrease this mechanism. High rate of renin produce high amount of angiotensin 2. So lisinopril which can block this angiotensin 2. So we can reduce essential hypertension. A patient with essential hypertension prescribed a drug which inhibits angiotensin converting enzyme is lisinopril. They are asking lisinopril more about 2019 and 2011. A 45-year-old woman has an attack of cardiac fibrillation. She suffers from stage 2 essential hypertension. What is the drug of choice for stopping his attack? This is propranolol. Nitroglycerin is not a we can use in hypertension. The appropriate answer is a beta blocker. So drug affecting cardiac action potential. So this is our isoelectric potential, resting membrane potential. So when a threshold stimulus come, then sodium influx will happen. Then sodium undergo depolarization. Sodium influx will happen. Then undergoing depolarization, a particular state it stops. Then potassium and chlorine outflux will happen, but along with potassium efflux we can see calcium 2 plus influx. So there is a balanced state. This state is known as plateau state. So after sometimes the calcium channel is closed, so but potassium going outside is continuous. So the positive charge inside the cell is going to be decreased. So repolarization will happen. So when it attains finally it attains resting membrane potential. So this is the action potential in heart muscle. So we have specific class of drugs which can act in different areas. So uh, these drugs can be used for arrhythmias. Lidocaine we can use for ventricular arrhythmia. Very often we use lidocaine for ventricular arrhythmia. Sorry guys. And antiarrhythmic drug should be chosen avoid the lowering cardiac output. Lidocaine is the treatment because it is very effective for ventricular arrhythmia, specifically at the time of in emergency situations like open heart surgery, digitalis intoxication, and myocardial infarction. And a patient was administered certain drug for relief of cardiac rhythm disturbance. The drug used as a local anesthetic also, that is lidocaine. A man with ischemic heart disease has been taking his medicine too often through a day, which resulted in poisoning. Examination detects cyanosis of the skin and mucosa, sharp drop blood pressure, tachycardia and respiratory depression. Blood methemoglobin is high because the answer is organic nitrate. What is the mechanism here? Can Nitrate can bind with oh, heme and oh, hemoglobin, and it, it can increase the oxidation stage of the iron Fe2, Fe3. This Fe3 state is known as methemoglobin. Fe3 state in hemoglobin is known as methemoglobin. So antidote for methemoglobinemia. Antidote for methemoglobinemia is methylene blue. Methylene blue. Okay, so I want to discuss about the how nitrates are working. So nitrates, okay, what is this? What is the basic function of nitrates? Nitrates, organic nitroglycerin, for example, nitroglycerin, which dilate the blood vessel. Okay, so we have smooth muscle in blood vessel, smooth muscle in blood vessel. This is the smooth muscle of blood vessel. Okay, this is here we administer our nitroglycerin. It it forms the free radical nitric oxide, and it promotes, it positively it binds with the heme group of guanylate cyclase. It bind with heme group in guanylate cyclase, so guanylates become active. Guanylate cyclase, it helps the conversion of GTP into cyclic GMP. Cyclic GMP, what happened? It helps in the dephosphorylation, myosin light chain phosphorylated, it becomes dephosphorylated. It becomes dephosphorylated. Myosin light chain becomes dephosphorylated. So if myosin light chain for phosphorylated form, it leads to contraction. If there is no nitric oxide, normally it undergo contraction. We use nitric oxide, so it positively influence the guanylate cyclase. So GTP is converted to cyclic GMP, and dephosphorylation of myosin light chain happen. Myosin light chain in dephosphorylated form, it undergo, the smooth muscle undergo relaxation. So if smooth muscle undergo relaxation, blood vessel become dilated, so increase the blood circulation in coronary arteries, so heart muscle get enough blood and oxygen, so it can work very efficiently. So they ask a patient with ischemic heart disease, administered an anti-anginal drug that reduces the myocardial oxygen consumption and improve the blood supply of myocardium. What drug is it? Nitroglycerin. Validol have reflex action. Propranolol have uh, beta blocker, beta blocker, beta blocker, promadol, and retabolic. We can discuss these drugs later. And okay, friends, I think this class is effective for you. Then, if you have any doubt, you can ask me in comment section. Okay, friends, if you have croak is coming very soon, and prepare for that croak, and we don't have enough time for croak, so uh, we our team will our team will suggesting new ideas to how to pass in croak exam, and we are making questions and the easy ways for to crack the croak. So wait for us our classes, and click on the bell icon, because it can notify you as soon as when we are upload our video. Then if you like this video, you can share to your friends, and subscribe our channel if you are not subscribed. So okay, friends, bye, have a nice day, thank you.